Did you know the United States national debt has spiked to an unprecedented $34 trillion? To many people, this astronomical number appears to be a problem for future generations, something far removed from our everyday lives. However, the truth beneath the surface is far more alarming. It points to an overwhelming economic burden and a shadow over the future we're building for our country and its descendants. This isn't just some abstract threat. This is about personal finance, the roof over your head, and the portfolio you're saving for. In a year already fraught with uncertainty, renowned financial guru Ray Dalio has relentlessly warned us about treacherous economic storms brewing in the Capitol's halls.
We are at the beginning of a very classic late big cycle debt crisis.
These aren't vague warnings. They carry specific perils that could unravel the fabric of our financial system. Everything we've built seems to sit on an increasingly shaky foundation, from the stocks we invest to the homes we hope to own. Today, we're diving deep into what this debt surge entails, the gravity of its potential impact, and how it's all interconnected in our financial ecosystem. Stay tuned, because this is one big problem for all of us that we can't ignore. The United States national debt has seen a rapid upsurge recently, notably spurred by a significant uptick in federal expenditure from 2019 to 2021. This escalation witnessed growth of around 50% as per the U.S. Department of the Treasury reports. This exponential budget expansion has sparked apprehension among investors, with mounting concerns that the upswing in interest rates mirrors the nation's deteriorating fiscal outlook, potentially leading to reduced demand for Treasury securities. Billionaire investor Ray Dalio's economic forecasts are equally problematic, with a prediction that economic growth could plummet to almost zero, with a margin of plus or minus a couple of percent. Economic giants such as MasterCard and Visa also light signal flares, indicating a significant deceleration in consumer spending. MasterCard lauded a mere increase of 3.1% in the U.S.'s holiday retail sales, only for the numbers to crumble post-inflation adjustments. In stark contrast to this narrative, Visa reports monthly on the U.S. Spending Momentum Index, an index designed to indicate economic acceleration or deceleration. Distressingly, the index is pointing south, crossing into contraction territory. What does this imply for the average American and the broader U.S. economy? The red flags are flying high, with consumer spending fueling over 70% of the GDP. Is the long-expected recession finally knocking on our door? The implications are vast and personal, affecting every individual's savings, investments, and job security. Please take 2 seconds to help me out and hit the like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video so far. Each like and subscribe helps support this channel and keeps us motivated to keep making you great content. Thank you. Now, back to what I was saying. The latest statistics from the end of 2023 are truly alarming. Visa's spending momentum indicator has dwindled to a concerning 94.7. A figure that plunges the economy into contraction territory. Not seen since 2014, this sharp drop reflects a nationwide trend of financial constraints. What does this mean for the everyday American? It's clear evidence that the consumer well is running dry. The average citizen's wallet feels the strain after grappling with skyrocketing inflation and exorbitant interest rates for over 2 years. A ripple effect of expenditure cutbacks can be expected to scale over 2024, setting a bleak narrative for the year ahead. This financial pressure cooker is already pushing an increasing number of individuals toward credit card delinquency and default, trapping them in an ever-tightening financial snare they can't wriggle out of. Our national debt is ballooning, and each passing day brings us closer to a point of no return. At first, borrowing money seems simple, almost painless, but when interest rates climb, it's like trying to move a mountain. Imagine the interest alone costs us $169 billion every year, eating up 16% of our budget. We're hurtling towards a future where we spend more on interest than our entire military, double the current cost. This isn't sustainable. It's a clear threat to our financial foundation. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the time to address this critical issue is now. Renowned economist Ray Dalio has sounded the alarm, warning that we're teetering on the edge of a monumental financial shift. describing the current scenario as echoing a classical late-cycle debt crisis. He pinpoints a perilous supply-demand gap in the debt marketplace. Unlike any other cycle, the world's financial landscape faces new challenges, from dwindling buyer numbers to geopolitical tensions and investor losses. In simpler terms, our global economy is issuing more debt than can be consumed. With rising interest rates, the stakes are higher for governments and investors alike. The New York Federal Reserve Bank has just released data about American households' financial habits. Credit card delinquency rates have soared, with the 30-day delinquency rate reaching 8%, the highest since 2011. To paint an even bleaker picture, 90-day delinquencies are approaching 10%. This isn't just a statistic, it's a dire warning about the nation's economic health, underscored by the record $1 trillion in credit card debt. If defaults continue to climb, your ability to spend and the entire economy could face severe repercussions. According to the well-regarded MasterCard spending survey, retail sales surged by a notable 3.1% from the previous year, a trend largely attributed to the powerful engine of online spending. Consumers were not shy about splurging, with increased purchases of books, dinners, and airline tickets leading the charge. The public has been portrayed as eager spenders, with malls bustling from the early days of November until the last-minute rush on Christmas Eve. However, amidst all this apparent celebration, there's a twist often overlooked by the mainstream media. The spending gain, adjusted to the inflation challenge, did not stand up to scrutiny. This means that 2024 may, in fact, have been one of the weakest years for holiday spending. The truth behind the shiny numbers raises profound questions about the economy's resilience and individuals' financial security. As many continue to grapple with their bottom lines, the future may hold serious strain if corrective measures are not properly addressed. The government plans to increase its borrowing by issuing a large volume of debt despite an observable scarcity of interested buyers. This shortfall in demand is a significant concern, particularly as we approach the moment of truth over the coming years in understanding the balance between supply and demand. Bridgewater's founder, Ray Dalio, summarized the situation, explaining that the government resorts to selling its debt in the financial market to cover various expenses, from building infrastructure to funding public projects. Investors, ranging from individuals to global financial entities, purchase these treasury securities, effectively loaning money to the government and earning interest on their investment. This tactic forms the backbone of how the government secures the funds necessary to support its initiatives. Bank of America's latest assessment of consumer spending habits based on transactions using their credit and debit cards highlights a marginal rise of 0.5% in household spending from last November. However, adjusting for inflation represents a 2.6% decline in real terms. This trend has persisted over the past half year without showing any signs of significant annualized growth. This stagnant spending pattern is particularly noticeable due to the slowdown in wage and salary increases, especially for consumers earning over $125,000 a year, among whom there was no recorded wage growth. This contrasts with a modest 1.5% increase for those in the $50,000 to $125,000 income bracket and a healthier 2.3% for those earning less than $50,000 annually. The report also indicates that the ongoing financial setback has impacted consumer spending. With many businesses closing and layoffs occurring, consumer confidence and disposable income have significantly decreased. This has made consumers more cautious with spending, leading to a lower overall growth rate. In addition to wage stagnation and financial uncertainty, the report points to changing consumer habits and trends. As more individuals shift towards online shopping, traditional brick-and-mortar retail businesses have seen a decline in sales. This has also affected the overall spending growth rate as consumers are now able to compare prices and find better deals online. The economy is struggling, particularly affecting the younger generations, including Gen Z and millennials. These individuals, aged roughly from their early 20s to late 30s, are encountering increased financial pressure due to climbing inflation rates and burgeoning debt, notably credit card liabilities. Shockingly, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York observed that Gen Z at 3.1% presents the highest percentage of newly delinquent credit card users, outpacing all other age groups. This situation is mirrored in millennials at 2.9%, further highlighting the disproportionate economic difficulties. Notably, the data also revealed a stark disparity between income levels, with individuals in the lowest bracket experiencing the highest credit card delinquency rate at 3.4%. In comparison, those in the highest bracket stand at a significantly lower 1.4%. Carrying a balance on your credit card can lead to substantial interest fees, usually between 18 and 30%, which can severely impact your finances. Many are unaware of the long-term consequences, thinking that making the minimum payment will suffice. However, with 56 million Americans in credit card debt for over a year and interest rates now surpassing 20%, these figures illustrate an increasing trend of people struggling to clear their balances. This financial burden can be misleading, as the credit card company's suggestion of a minimum payment masks the real challenge of high-interest debt for many consumers. Decreasing interest in U.S. debt can significantly challenge the government's ability to secure necessary funds. Finding a loan becomes tougher when fewer banks offer lending services, making the financial task ahead more daunting. In sync with this, facing a mounting deficit, the federal government finds itself issuing more debt instruments to manage the increasing disparity between tax income and yearly expenditure. Recent indications have unearthed a worrying pattern showcasing a decline in interest for certain types of financial debts. When the demand for these financial instruments decreases, a critical domino effect occurs. It necessitates an increase in the interest rates on such securities. This adjustment, though seemingly small, could spell serious trouble for our economic stability, especially considering the significant existing allocation of funds to service interest expenses. A further climb in rates poses a palpable danger, potentially causing a ripple that affects interest rates across all sectors. If allowed to escalate, such a scenario could impede the nation's economic growth, even pushing it toward a full-blown recession. The intricate dynamics of a mounting federal deficit, dwindling interest in financial debts, and the associated escalation in interest rates call for careful economic orchestration. Looking ahead, our goal should be to foster a robust middle ground supported by bipartisan initiatives. Neither the extreme right nor the left seems adaptable to the ever-changing political landscape. An unsettling trend is the geographical separation driven by economic concerns and differing societal values. Over the next few years, the question remains, can we sustain a cohesive middle ground political approach? Or are we teetering towards a fragmented socio-political state? We face a trifecta of immediate challenges: the inflexible current interest rates, an increasingly constricted environment, and consequential slow growth. This combination, occurring within what can be described as our cyclic 7-year itch, may lead to an economic downturn rooted in balancing our collective fiscal responsibilities. With an approximate wealth of $16.5 billion, Ray Dalio has voiced his concerns about the economy. According to him, the recent stabilization of interest rates at their current levels could lead to a sustained economic strain. He predicts that the economy will weaken, not necessarily to the point of sharp decline due to the stability of household finances, but enough to qualify as a balance sheet recession. This outlook is compounded by underlying financial problems and internal conflicts, creating a critical state of risk. This ongoing prediction aligns with Dalio's earlier warnings from the latter part of the year, cautioning that foolish economic policies could steer the United States into a torrent of financial hardship. These insights from Dalio echo similar sentiments shared by respected market analysts, such as Deutsche Bank's forecast of what it calls a policy-led downturn, and Stan Druckenmiller's dire prediction of a hard landing and imminent recession. Despite pockets of investor optimism spurred by signs of economic resilience, these voices continue to sound a foreboding sense of caution. As such, investors and individuals must remain vigilant and closely monitor future economic developments. It's crucial to stay informed and prepared for any potential challenges in the coming period. The financial health of central governments in the U.S. and worldwide has severely deteriorated due to prolonged periods of substantial deficits, leading to a similar downturn in their income statements. Furthermore, significant investments in government bonds for debt financing have resulted in tremendous losses, particularly with current interest rates worsening matters. This statement by Dalio has provided a meticulous understanding of the recent shifts in global finances, such as Fitch's credit rating downgrade of the U.S. government and the subsequent surge in 10-year U.S. Treasury yields, both of which directly correlate with the mounting budget deficit and the government's need for increased debt issuance. When the latest batch of U.S. jobs figures failed to meet the high expectations, bond yields dipped to 4.06%, reflecting the market's response to the softer numbers. This downturn comes amid economic uncertainty. Christian Keller, the head of economic research at Barclays, highlighted that even during a period that seemed to support a comfortable economic soft landing, substantial movements in U.S. Treasury bonds raise concerns about what lies ahead for investors. Keller stresses the overlooked yet undeniably pivotal role of long-term government fiscal health on asset valuations, stating future fiscal dynamics, a drab backdrop, become the focus seemingly overnight. The recent tumult in the U.S. Treasury market is a timely warning of this phenomenon. Moreover, Christian Keller's concerns extend beyond the current market volatility to include the potential for future economic turbulence as well. In light of this, he emphasizes the importance of closely monitoring fiscal policies and their implications on asset values to stay ahead of any unexpected shifts in the financial landscape. In addition to serving as a cautionary tale for investors, Keller's insights also shed light on the intricate relationship between fiscal policy and market stability. While discussions on long-term government debt may seem mundane, these policies can have far-reaching consequences that can quickly take center stage in finance. As such, investors and financial analysts must keep a close eye on future fiscal dynamics to be prepared for any potential impacts on asset valuations. When considering the trajectory of these developments, we should ask how the dynamics will unfold. In the immediate future, Dalio suggests that as long as there's a market for government debt, we can expect to experience a phase of reasonably modest growth and elevated inflation, a scenario akin to mild stagflation. However, looking further ahead, Dalio warns that should the debt supply outstrip demand, two probable outcomes arise. Interest rates will soar, or central banks will need to increase their debt purchases to keep rates subdued. But, and here's the crux, such measures would lead to substantial losses for central banks, potentially pushing them into a negative net worth territory, a situation that could spell trouble for monetary policies due to the necessity to absorb these losses, or worse, could turn into a matter of political contention. While Dalio doesn't predict the occurrence of these scenarios, his historical lens compels him to underscore that large debt accumulations are seldom resolved without significant repercussions. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video and leave a comment below.